Hi everybody, welcome to another video. I've been meaning to make a video on my Fiido L3 for about 6 months now, since I started riding it before summer, and basically I just seem to never get enough time to do it. But this is a quick update. I wanted to do an update at 5,000 miles and I went right past 5,000 miles, and now I've done almost 6,000. You can see, let me just can see it's done. Let me just see if the camera, so I've done 6,300 miles on this bike. So I've done 6,300 miles. So I just wanted to give everybody a quick update on if anything is broken on it or how it's still running, if I've had any problems with it. And I'll go through the usual bits and pieces that I've gone through in most of my other videos, so everybody knows. And I'll start with the electrics on it. The electrics here, you can see so this is where the hub and the wires go in. You can see that they're going into the electrics, and I've had no problems with the electrics on this bike so far, apart from one thing, which is the horn, which probably, oh, you can see it's working now, but for a lot of the time, and the horn is down here, it comes out of, it's like a dual light horn, but for some reason a lot of the time it won't work. So I'm not sure if the button, if you've watched some of my other videos, if the button here gets kind of stuck. The light works, but you can see it, sometimes it will get a bit sticky as well, but that pushes, and then you've got the light working there, and that works. So I've never had any trouble with the light. Sometimes it does kind of get stuck down there, but you just tap it a bit and it will come right. But basically the only trouble that I've had in 6,000 miles with this bike is the horn just doesn't work sometimes. And I used to think it was something to do with the actual horn down here, like the integrated horn with the light. But what I think it is it's probably something getting stuck under here, like this won't press down properly, and so the button under there will get stuck down or up and it won't press. So I think it's actually a problem with this, or the only other thing that I can think of is it's a problem with, there's like wires coming down. You can see one of these wires here. Which one is it? I think it's that one there. So one of the wires that come down to the horn could actually be having some problems. But I've never had any other electrical problems with this so far. I've ridden this in, if you watch some of my other videos, I've ridden this in absolutely torrential rain. It's never ever broken down on me ever, no matter how much the rain is. And even when the rain, this is not completely sealed very well. There's no like rubber seal around here, but it seems to seal well enough to stop the water getting in and stopping it from like working. And the rear hub has been absolutely perfect. And the other thing that I've read some people complain about is that this is the sensor for the pedaling. So if you pedal and you set it at a certain level, it will go a certain speed, and you just keep pedaling rather than doing it another way. But basically I've never had any problems. My sensor has been perfect, so every time I pedal it just it works fine. A friend of mine bought electric bike off Amazon, and he had it for about 2 months, and then the sensor wouldn't work, so when he was pedaling it wouldn't kick the electric motor in, and he basically his bike basically wasn't working, so he couldn't ride it. It's been off the road now for about 6 months. I don't think he can actually buy a replacement sensor for it because he got it off Amazon. I think if with Fiido, because it's a kind of bigger Chinese company, I think you would be able to probably buy the sensors with this, you know, if something broke down. I've only ever had to contact them once, and they sent a replacement horn out. When I first got it, the guy I bought it off, I sent him a message saying the horn's not working, and so he said send me your postcode, and about 2 weeks later a brand new horn turned up, sent from China, free of cost. Postage was free, everything was free. I mean, the bike was brand new, so the horn should still work. You know, it should have worked. I didn't test it when I bought it. I should have done that, but I didn't. But anyway, it works fine. So no problems on the electrics at all, and especially the main electrics, like charging it. You know, you want the battery to charge up without any problems, and you want the electric motor to go, because obviously, you know, that's the main thing. If that breaks down on you, those are the most expensive things. Like the electric motor, I think, is about 150 pounds to replace that rear hub, and it's about 400 pounds to replace the battery. So, you know, this bike was 800 pounds, so you can see that's like about 550 pounds just in the battery and the electric motor. So no problems on that at all, and this bike has never broken down on me, and I've been riding it now for 3 years. The only problems that I've had is with the tires. I've had 2 punctures on this bike. I'll talk about those a little bit later, and what I've had to do to fix them. But you can see brakes here. These are aftermarket brakes that I've put in, so they're X-Tech zooms. And luckily, the good thing about putting these in is there's brake pads all over Amazon. So you can buy the brake pads from these from Amazon, and there's lots and lots of sellers, because I think with these X-Techs, they use them on like multiple different bikes. So you might buy maybe like a more high-end bike, and they will just put these aftermarket brakes on. And because a lot of companies use these aftermarket brakes, then you can easily get the pads. And the pads here, if you want to know how to change them, I think I've done about 3 videos on how to change them. They're really easy to change. Basically just pull that split pin there out, and you just pull that out and put it in. The last time I did it, I didn't record it because I'd done so many, but it literally took me probably no more than 5 minutes to change the brakes on this, the brake pads on that. So it's that easy. And the brake pads cost me, I got them on Amazon. I had a different brand, and this brand that I bought are working a lot better. They seem to have lasted a lot longer than the previous ones I had, which were kind of quite expensive. But I paid, I think it was roughly 11 pounds for eight sets of them. So you're looking at about, like, you know, £1.25 or something. £1.25 for 8 pairs of brake pads, I think, roughly. I think it was about £10.50 with free delivery or something like that. I can't be sure, I can't remember, because I bought them a while ago, but it honestly wasn't very expensive at all. It's, you know, it's easy to get, easy to change. The only thing with the brakes, with these brakes, right, is essentially the pads, because I cycle in London all the time. Well, this is where I ride this bike, and it is the pads only usually last about 500 miles, and then they're just like completely, almost like a glazing over them, like the pads get hot, and then they almost become like a ceramic, so you've got to keep changing them. So I've changed these brake pads on the front and rear at least 5 times, probably at least 5 times on my back, and at least once or twice on my front. I mainly use my rear brake and not my front brake as much, so my front pads haven't worn out as quickly as my back pads. But that's the only other thing, and that's just regular maintenance that you have to do on your bike. You know, you've got to keep your brakes working well wherever you're riding, and especially in London where people just walk out in front of you because they don't hear you because it's an electric bike, and you know, cars pull out, they don't see you, bike's not that big, so you've just got to be real careful. So you want your brakes working absolutely perfectly. I'll just go over the battery now. So battery has lasted me, I ride this bike about 7 months of the year, and so I'm charging this every single day, 5 days a week, so I'm charging it, what is that, 20 times in a month, times by 7, what's that, 140, so I'm charging it like 140 times a year I'm charging it. Is it more than that? Yeah, sorry, just did the maths there. So I'm charging this bike about 150 times at least a year, and then there are times when I ride it on the weekend. I ride it to, you know, some sports activities like my sailing and stuff like that. So this is being charged, I would say probably about 200 times a year the battery's being charged. I never let the battery go completely flat. But you know, I've had it for 3 years, and so that battery has been charged, I would guess, about between 500 and 600 times. Now, if you look at the website, the British website said the battery can get charged about 800 times. The American website said the battery can be charged about 1,000 times. So, you know, there's a discrepancy of 200 times. I don't know whether one's just like some marketing stuff for Americans, or maybe they do something a little bit different in America. They got like higher speed limits for their bikes or something, and so maybe the batteries last a bit longer or something. I'm not sure, but that was when I originally bought the bike and I looked on the American website compared to the British one. I saw there was like, you know, you could get 200 more cycles out of it. But to be honest, I've had absolutely no problems with the battery on this. It's never ever decreased in power. So because I ride my bike every single day the same way to work and the same way back home, and so I know, you know, from when I had the battery, how far the bike will go before the battery starts. You have a look on here. So if you have a look there, you can see the bar there, and so I know exactly how far. I know I can ride exactly 12 miles roughly before the first bar goes down on my way to work, you know, with all the hills and flats and everything. And I've never had any problems, like the battery hasn't degraded at all since I've had it. But of course it's supposed to do 800 charges before anything happens to it, but I've had absolutely no problems with that battery at all, and it never seems to get hot or anything, because you obviously have to worry a little bit about lithium-ion batteries and that, but I've had no charging problems with it. I just plug it in every night when I get home straight away, and it takes about, I usually use between 2 and 3 bars on here, so I always have like, it's got 5 bars on there. I usually use about 2 or 3 bars, and then and then I'm home, and then it usually takes, depending on, you know, how much power it's used, it'll usually take about maybe between 4 and 6 hours to charge. And the reason why it uses different amounts of power is because basically in winter, when it's a little bit colder, I'm wearing a lot more heavy cycling gear. Like I'm wearing like a full jacket, you know, and my helmet, and I've got like thicker gloves on, and I'm obviously wearing like a shirt underneath and everything to keep myself warm. So the bike is carrying, in winter the bike would probably carry about 100 kgs. I weigh about 85, and then I've got a backpack with that's about 8 to 10 kgs with my lunch and all my work stuff, and then I'm wearing at least 5, maybe 6 kgs worth of like cycle clothing, high vis gear, you know, helmets and stuff like that. So that's the reason why. And then in summer I can cut down to just a light shirt, you know, some safety gear like my gloves here, like my summer gloves that I wear. And so basically the bike, you know, I'd probably drop about 6-7 kilos of weight without all the additional safety gear. So then it makes the bike a bit lighter, and then the bike can go a bit further. So that's cool with that. And so it's the battery, the brakes, the frame is like, I've never had any problems. I checked. One of the things I looked at here that you have to take a look at is the wheel bearings in there. These might be a little bit difficult to buy. I'd have to probably maybe source them from China again. But these ones are okay. Like I said, I've done 6,000 miles on this, and these are still spinning fine. If you can test them just by lifting up the front wheel and spinning it. There's no problem. I got my camera in my hand, so I can't really do it. And the back one seems to be fine as well. This is, I just put some nice oil on this chain here. I hadn't oiled this chain since I got it. It was a bit stupid really. Hadn't really cleaned it, so I gave it a really good clean, and then I put some oil on it. I bought some really nice oil. Needs a bit more of an oil, so this summer I'm gonna get some more oil here and put that on. And I'm just going to go through the tires quickly. I'm going to do a longer video on the tires here. I'll just cover this because this video is already 20 minutes. Essentially, this is the front tire here, the original one. It's a CSV tire. It's like a CTS tire. I think it's like something. It's like Shanghai Tire Company or something. I looked it up once. This tire has done, you know, it's the original tires, has done almost 6,500 miles, and you can see there's still plenty of tread on the front. But what happened was, and I'm going to do a separate video on these as well, on these tires. This tire here, can the camera get it? So that tire there, what happened is I got a flat tire on this. I've only gotten 2 flat tires the whole time I've owned this bike, and one was on a Thursday, and I had 1 day left of work, and I wanted to just fix it really quickly because I didn't have a puncture repair kit on me at the time. So basically I went down to Halfords, and they were selling this tire here for 10 pounds, and I bought a tube, and I just took it home quickly and put it back on. And then I had another problem with this tire actually for some reason. I'm not sure what happened with it, but it went flat, so I don't know whether it was the valve. But then I bought some slime. Don't know if you guys know about slime. You just put it in your tires, it's for bikes, and then it just goes around in the tire, and if you have a puncture, it stops the puncture, you know, only up to a certain size. But the problem with this is this tire, and I'm going to do a longer video on this, is this tire is not designed really for e-bikes. I think it's designed for little kids' bikes, and you can see that it's basically worn out here. And I changed that tire about 500 miles ago, so you can see the difference is that tire there is worn out. It's only done 500 miles. This is like a proper e-bike tire, and it's done 6,500 miles, and I'll probably get at least another 6,500 out of it, maybe even more. Might even get 15,000 miles. So that's like everything that's basically gone wrong with my bike in 3 years. This is like my update. The lights are still working fine on it. The LED lights always worked fine on the back, which is great, because that's one of the things that you want your backlight working as good as possible, because you want people to see you as much as possible when you're on a small bike. Anyway, this is it, people. Thanks for watching. If you got to the end of this video, this is my 6,000 mile update. I was going to do it at 5, like I said. I've just been so busy at work, so I just kept riding the bike and rode it for almost another 1,500 miles. I'll probably try and do a update at maybe 7,500, 8,000. But to be honest, I've been doing these updates for a long time, and this bike is just keeps going. I will mention one of the only things that I may need to replace sometime is this. I'm not sure if the camera will show it, but the bearings in there look like they're wearing a little bit, and I had a look at trying to fix this. I don't have a new bearing, so eventually I'm gonna have to maybe do something with that, because it's getting a little bit of play, but it still turns fine. I don't have any problems turning it, and that's been okay. But that is something that, maybe about 10,000 miles I might have to look at, fixing that. But the rest of it's been fine. Everything's been perfect. Oh, and I will mention one other quick thing here. I've mentioned this before. Is this seat. You can see it's been like this for about, God, I don't even remember how long. It's pulled out, and so it's been like that for about at least maybe 3,000 miles, maybe even longer. And I tried pushing it back in, and it's like really difficult to get back in. So I've just basically left it like that, and the seat hasn't deteriorated anymore. When I get a chance, I might try pulling it apart and seeing if there's some way I can push it back in. But to be honest, it's still, you can still kind of ride on it. You can still sit there, so it's kind of okay, and that's fine. Anyway, this is my little update on this bike. And if you guys, I don't work for Fiido or anything. I'm not like a rep for them. I just bought the bike, and I cruise around the country on it and use it for work. And I just find it's like, these little updates might help people if they want to buy like a reliable bike. And if this bike wasn't reliable, obviously I would, tell you, all the bad things that have gone wrong in it. But it's been really, really good, and it saved me a lot of money. And I'm going to do a little video on how much money it saved me later as well, because I did one. That saved me £3,000, but it saved me even more now. But anyway, thanks for watching my video, and thanks if you got to the end. And as usual, if you're a subscriber, that's really good. And if you're not a subscriber, it would really help the channel, as I always need as many subscribers as I can get. And I'm off to Spain on holiday when is it? Next Tuesday. So I'm going to be doing some, I'm going to the Costa Brava, so I'm going to be doing some videos on the Costa Brava as well, like, fits in with my travel channel kind of niche. So check that out as well. And thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. I'm going to do a video on how much money I saved on this, and just a little bit of cycling equipment. And I'm going to do a video on the tires and that as well, just to point some more things out about tires that people might want to know about. But thanks. Hi all, welcome to another video. So this video is about some of the different safety equipment that I use in London, and some of the accessories that I have on my bike to help me cycle a lot safer. I'm going to start with this mirror here. This is a proper e-bike mirror. I got this on Amazon. It was quite expensive. I think it was about £20, but it's specifically designed for e-bikes and riding, I guess, at slightly higher speeds, because obviously in London e-bikes you know, are regulated to a certain speed. But I think in places like the United States and Europe, you can actually, the e-bikes are allowed to go faster than that. So they make like these e-bike mirrors so they don't shake. And this mirror has been really, really fantastic. It's like, I honestly couldn't cycle through London now without one of these mirrors on, because basically if you have a look there, you can see it sticks out. And before, if you look at some of my older videos, I had two mirrors here and there, but the problem with it is the mirrors were, you know, not coming out far enough. So when I'm cycling and my arm is here and there, I couldn't see. So this is why I went to a mirror that actually came out like a bar end mirror, like you get on motorbikes. And that way it gives me really good vision behind me, so I can see if there's something coming up behind me, or some car hasn't seen me and is going too quick, I can, like, you know, just pull over, you know, off the road. Or if somebody's like, you know, sitting behind me and they're kind of like, I'm going too slow, and they're getting annoyed because I'm going too slow, I can, like, you know, just pull over as well. It's like, makes it a lot easier. And the other thing which is like really, really good with these type of mirrors is basically you don't have to turn your head constantly. I used to ride just like a normal, you know, big bike, and you're hunched down over it and you're constantly turning your head, and then you kind of get like a sore neck. By the end of riding for like a week, you know, I'd have like a really kind of sore neck, because I kept like turning my head to see if something was behind me. I kept having to turn to see if there were, you know, cars coming up, whether I could make a right or left hand turn. But with this type of mirror just stuck here, basically all I got to do is just look in the mirror. I don't have to move my head, you know, in a really, you know, kind of difficult direction where it strains my neck all the time. So this has been like really, really good. It needs a bit of a clean. I clean it every now and then, but works perfectly fine. And I just couldn't cycle through London without one of these types of mirrors. You can see, let me just, you can see how well it you know, you can see behind the park there. You can see how well see the trees in the park and everything. And if you want to know this exact brand, if you want to buy this exact brand for your bike, I've done a video on that on my YouTube channel, so just check out, I think it's like something like e-bike mirror. So just look at my channel and look, you know, type in the word mirror and it should come up. The only thing you've got to do with this is cut a hole. Like I had to cut a hole basically there, which I was a little bit hesitant. That's why I didn't buy one of these mirrors, because I thought, oh, it's going to destroy my you know, my grip here. But in the end I thought I'm just going to do it. So I just got a Stanley knife and I just cut that there, just cut it round and then pushed it on, and that's it. And I've never had any trouble. It's like if you fall over, like it can move like that, you know, but it's really strong. You can see, you know, you can move the bike with it, and that's why it's made for, you know, e-bike, so it doesn't like shake. Because, you know, when you get one of those cheaper mirrors and the mirror starts shaking, then everything is blurry because you've got so much shaking. But that is like, you can easily see behind you the cars really clearly. One of the things I always cycle with is a light. You can see my lights here. I've turned it this way, but you can just turn it around. I don't bother, I've just turned it, I had it sideways just because it makes it a little bit smaller. I've had this light since I was doing Uber. I used to do Uber deliveries on a bike during the pandemic because there was no other work. And I've had that light since then. I need to get a new one. This one works fine. The battery's still okay on it. I think the battery's not working as well as when I got it. But to be honest, I don't use it that much. I only use it more in the winter months. And it was about 30 quid I paid for that, so I don't really want to get a new one. The only problem with this one is it's got the old USB type charging. What do they call that? So you can see, I'm not sure if the camera will pick that up, but it's the older type before the USB-C charging, which is a bit annoying. But what I've got here, you can see this is wrapped around here, but this is a USB charger here, and this plugs, can't see where the end of it is. Basically this will plug straight into here, so I can charge that light while I'm cycling off the main battery. So it's always good to have a light, especially, you know, because I finish work like 4, time I get like away 4:30, so it's, you know, in October it's already starting to get a bit dark, and then when I ride along the canals a lot, and the canals are always dark, so it's always good to have a light on your bike for that type of thing. Obviously I got the backlight here, which is good. And I bought this little cycling bag here. It was really difficult. If you watch another one of my videos, you'll see how difficult it was for me to find a bag that will fit on a small bike, because check out my video on bags. You can see this here is really only about 8 inches. You know, it's just way too small to try and put, and you got your battery here, so then you're trying to get like a bag that sits on 8 inches, which is just really difficult. I honestly couldn't find one. I looked on Amazon for like a few days. There just wasn't any type of bag that I could find that would sit there apart from a saddle bag. I did buy a couple and I just returned them because they were just like no use. So check out my video on bags. And then I got this one. This one's, I've had no problems with it at all. It's waterproof, the zip works. Don't know if it's like a name branded one or anything, or is it just like if there's like, you know, I don't think it's any like famous brand, but honestly I don't really do much. I carry my, you know, I got a few tools in there to repair the bike, and I've got a bike pump which has like saved me quite a lot. Just a small portable bike pump. Let me just show you. So this is the bike pump I've got. I think it's Chris Broadman. I think he's like the cyclist, and he released like some cycling gear. I bought this years and years ago, probably bought this like 6 years ago, this pump, and I just keep it in my bag, and it's been fantastic. You can see it's only about 8 inches long, 6-7 inches long maybe, and it fits into my bag really easy, and I've had no problems with it at all. It hasn't like you know, the rubber on the inside hasn't perished, and then the pump doesn't work, so that's been really good. I didn't bring I always ride with a pair of cycling goggles. Actually, I didn't bring them with me, but if you check out one of my other videos you'll find that. And I always use a helmet. A lot of people don't cycle with helmets in London. I think you probably should really, but you know, a lot of people ride Lime bikes or those forest bikes, and they just jump on them and ride them all over London without helmets. I guess most of the time those guys are only riding maybe a mile or half a mile, you know, because those things are quite expensive if you have to like rent them for a long ride. But I always cycle with a helmet, and I recently got a new helmet here. You can see I wanted some more lights in winter, so when I'm kind of cycling in darker days, I wanted a light. And this one actually, let me just show you here, just so you can see it flashes, and it's got different things. So I always just have it flashing, and it's got like a light on the front. The light on the front doesn't really do much. It's not like it will really, you know, if you're cycling in the dark, it shows you, you know, you can use it for cycling in the dark. It won't, you know, light up the path in front of you or anything. But I think it's just meant to, if people see you, you know, if they're coming oncoming cars and they can see you there, they can see the actual light. It doesn't flash or anything. It's just a constant one. It's not like the backlight or anything like that. So, and this is good. This kind of fits right down. You can see here on this, it comes, your ear comes here, so this kind of covers the back of you as well, and fits quite well. If anybody's interested, post a comment, and if I see the comment, I'll put a link in the description for you, the Amazon link in the description. These things are quite expensive, like to find a cycle helmet with lights on them, it was a little bit difficult. I think this one off the top of my head was about £30, but you know, I looked at some of them, they're like over 100 or maybe £200 for a cycle helmet, which to me is just ridiculous, you know. Maybe they work better, maybe they protect your head better, but I can't justify the money of spending £200 on a cycle helmet. It's just too much for me. But I bought this and it's been really, really good. No problems with it. USB-C charging. I can ride it about 2 or 3 times. It's supposed to, I think, work for 8 hours. I don't think it works for 8 hours. I think it said it was going to work for 8 hours, but I can remember when I got it, I thought, oh, it's going to work the whole week. It doesn't. It only lasts me about 2 or 3, maybe 3. So maybe it lasts about 6 hours, because I ride this bike for an hour each way. So if I ride it for 3 days, it's going to be six hours. So maybe it might get close to the 8 hours claimed, but I think it's a little bit short. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm not worried if the helmet, you know, if the battery doesn't last exactly what they say. And the other thing is, if you guys remember, I use these I use winter gloves in winter, but I use cycle gloves with protectors and that, and you can see they've got protection there if you fall off. I had a really nice pair. I had them for exactly 1 year, and then it was the middle of summer, and I put them on the back of my bike exactly like that, and then I rode off. I forgot to put them on, and one of them was there. It fell down here and got trapped, but the other one got lost. So I had to go out and buy a brand new pair. They weren't expensive, £8 for those, and they're kind of like light for cycling. In summer, you know, even in really hot summer days, like 30 degrees, 35 degrees when it was really hot, you can still cycle in these without any problems at all. You've got the wind on you, and they kind of, you can see you've got little air mesh things, so the air vents there can go in, kind of keep your fingers cool a little bit. But they're light gloves, so they're not like really winter. You can't cycle in November, December with these gloves. They're just not thick enough. Your hands like really freeze. You need proper winter gloves, and even with proper winter gloves on this, I can't really cycle. You know, if I cycle for like 1 hour in the middle of winter on this bike, even with proper thick like leather winter gloves, my hands are absolutely frozen. So that's all the safety equipment. Like I said, I have a pair of kind of big, like almost ski-like goggles. I've shown them before in videos. They really help. I find like I saw one other person this year cycling with goggles like that, and I looked at them and I thought, okay, this guy cycles a long way as well, because they kind of like really protect your eyes, not just from the sun, but all the stuff that can flick up off the ground. And as you know, I cycle along the canal, so there's always like branches hanging down. And I've seen guys like cycle and then get hit with a branch, and they had like no eye protection. So they make a really big deal. You look kind of stupid in them, and every now and then people always look at you because you're wearing like ski goggles in the middle of summer, which is like ridiculous. But they really help you, help protect you and protect your eyes, and they stop the glare and everything, so those are quite good. Anyway, that's all my safety equipment. I do have like a big thick high-vis vest that I wear in winter. I'm not going to show it you because it's the middle of summer, but it's basically just like one of those jackets that workmen wear. You know, you see people outside working, you know, in gardens or something, or on the street, and they wear these big thick high vises, and that's what I wear. And I do have one other thing which I didn't bring them down. I cycle with like elbow pads, so they're just like elbow pads that you would use for skating and that. To me, I'm going to give you my top tip. And I was actually chatting to a guy who rides a motorcycle at my work, and we both agreed on this. Elbow pads are a must. 99% people do not cycle with elbow pads, but if you fall over, your elbow is like, you know, super vulnerable. And happened to me, it's the only accident I've had. I had black ice, front wheel, I locked the front wheel up because the back wheel wasn't working, and I slid out, busted my elbow. It took me honestly about 3 months to recover, and after that I never cycle without elbow pads. If I'm going any distance, like more than a mile, I put them straight on. You know, like I said, most people, I guess if you're watching this video, most people don't have this like kind of level of protection on their bikes. Like, you know, if you see the people riding line bikes, they just jump on them in flip-flops or, you know, whatever clothes they're wearing because they're just going there. But, you know, I cycle 125 miles a week on this bike. So for me, having the, like, you know, some good safety gear to help, you know, protect me from the wind and the elements, and, you know, if anything did happen to me, it's really, really worth my while, you know, buying that. And once you've got it forever. Like, you know, the things like the mirror, the light I've had for 6 years, the mirror I've had for at least a year to 2 years now. The bag has lasted me. I've had no problems with the zip. The helmet is fine, you know, and if I didn't lose my original gloves, I would still have those gloves. And you can even see my lock here, right? I've got this big thick lock here, which I never take off, but you can see how many, you know, I've done 6,500 miles on this bike, and you can see this is like starting to wear. Obviously it's got solid steel, you know, hardened steel underneath. It's on guard brute, but you can see it's like wearing down a bit. So anyway, that's all I want to say about the cycle stuff. And I just did a video on 6,500 miles on my bike. I've done 6,500 miles riding this bike through London and different places. Check that out if you want to see if anything's broken on my bike or what I've had to repair and the maintenance that I do. And I'm going to do a video on tires now with this bike, so check that out as well if you want to know about e-bike tires. I've learned a few things about tires actually, so I'm going to pass that knowledge on to you with what I've learned as well. But as usual, if you guys are members of the channel, that's fantastic. If you're not members of the channel, it would really help you, it would really help me if you would like and subscribe. And I'm off to Spain next week, so I'm going to do some videos on that as well. And thanks for watching, and I hope you've learned something. You know, I hope this has helped you. Maybe if you want to like buy some, like, you know, cycle equipment that might kind of, you know, help you when you cycle through London or cycle anywhere in the world. And thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Hi everybody. So this is the last video I'm doing today. I've just done a video on the Fiido L3 here. All the things that I've had to replace on it or repair on it, and how well it's been, you know, like the battery and everything. In almost 6,500 miles, I've just done 6,300 miles on this bike. So if you want to see the maintenance and what this bike has been like for the last 3 years, check that video out. It'll be online. And then I just did a video on all the cycle equipment that I cycle with in London, like the mirrors, the lights, my bag, a helmet, and some other safety equipment that I don't actually have here. And this last video I'm going to do is on tires. So essentially, the biggest problem I've had with this bike has been with tires, right? And I wanted to kind of just do a video on tires with these smaller bikes. If you have like a large bike with 26 or 27 inch wheels, I think 700 millimeter wheels, I think you're going to be perfectly fine. This is probably, you know, no problem with you, because you can just go to your local Halfords or Evans or any bike shop and you can just buy you know, those bigger tires. But basically this has got 14-inch tires on it because it's a really small e-bike, and then all of a sudden when you have such small tires like that, it kind of becomes a bit of a problem for you, right? And the problem with it is in China, where they have like a lot of these little bikes, you know, there'll probably be a lot of shops around where you can just walk in and buy a proper little e-bike tire, you know, for maybe £5-10, right? But in the UK, not many people ride bikes like this. You know, this is, since I've been riding the L3, I think I've only seen 1, maybe 2 bikes like this. So there's not a lot of bikes with, you know, e-bikes with 14-inch tires, and the problem is that because there's not many bikes, not many people will import these tiny little tires because there's not much demand for them. So here's the thing with it, right? I'm going to go through how long these tires last first. So I've done 6,500 miles. Just to show everybody. Hopefully the camera will pick it up. I'm not sure. But basically, it's a little bit sunny here, but I've done 6,305 miles on this bike. And if you disconnect the speed, disconnect the starter here, like this thing here which turns it on and off, it actually still records the miles. So I'm not sure, like, it must have something built in. So you can't, like, you know, you can't actually trick it. There might be some way to do a hard reset, I don't know, but I pulled the wires off this when it was actually powered on, and I thought, oh no, it's gonna like lose my mileage, and then I plugged it back in and turned it back on, and it was still exactly the same mileage. So the mileage hasn't, you know, I haven't lost any of the mileage. But going back to the tires here, so this is a CST tire here. This was the original tire that came with the bike, and you can see here, after almost 6,500 miles, there's still plenty of tread on that. Like, that's not worn down. I mean, it is worn down a bit. It didn't have that much tread to start with, but it's still thick enough, and I wouldn't bother replacing that, right? So that tire is done 6,500 miles. Now I've replaced this back one. I replaced it about 500 miles ago, and what happened was I came home from work, it was a Thursday, and I got a flat tire, and I needed, like, the tube I thought was really badly damaged, and just I didn't have a punch repair kit, so I went straight down to Halfords and I bought like a brand new tire and brand new tube and put it in, just to get me to work the next day. And if you have a look at this tire here, I think the camera will pick it up, you can see that that tire, which was brand new, has only done 500 miles, and you can see it's worn down. Now here's the thing with this, right? That tire here, this back tire here, cost me £10 from Halford, and the tube cost me £4, so it cost me like £14 to get my bike repaired. But this tire here, which is not made for e-bikes, right? And so this is the reason why that tire has worn down so quick. I'm sure this bike, that tire, is made for kids' bikes. So, you know, little kids who ride those, you know, like say an 8-year-old or something would ride like a small bike. You buy a little bike at Halfords for your son or daughter, and it comes with these type of 14-inch wheels for them. And the problem with that is those types of bikes, those kids' bikes, are only designed to, you know, ride around a park like this. So, you know, the child might ride the bike around the park a couple of times, so the bike might, you know, only have to do, maybe in its lifetime, the bike might only ride like 20 miles in total. So for a child's bike, that's fine. You know, this type of tire, you know, has got like a kid that weighs maybe 30-40 kilos, just a small child on it, and then the child is only riding the bike probably about 5-6 miles an hour, and they're only riding it around parks like this where it's safe, you know, they're not riding it through central London like I do. Obviously this type of tire is not gonna last me anywhere near as long as a proper e-bike tire, because I'm sure it's designed for children's bikes. When I bought it, I didn't think it was going to last that long, but you know, I just wanted to get to work, and it cost me £10 a day to take the underground to work. So basically buying one tire is the same as me going to, you know, using the underground. So I bought it, but here's the problem with this, right, is because these tires are quite difficult to get, these small tires, it's hard for me to, you know, get another tire. And the original tire on this, the CST one, I probably could have ridden it for another 1,000 or 2,000 miles, but I felt inside and the rubber was actually getting quite thin. It had like really worn down, which is normal because the rear tire is gonna wear more than the front tire. I mean, that front tire will do 10,000, maybe 15,000 miles, whereas I'm gonna have to replace the rear tire here probably 2 to 3 times more, because there's obviously a lot more weight on it, and you know, your electric bike is powering on the back here. So the thing with it is a few months back, you know, I'm looking around, I'm looking on eBay, and I'm looking on Amazon, because for me, I always try to buy something off eBay or Amazon before I go to places like AliExpress or Temu, because if I buy off AliExpress or Temu, then I have to wait for it to get shipped from China. So anyway, I found a solid tire, 14, that looked really good, that would fit on this, and I ordered it off Amazon, £20, and then I waited 3 weeks, and then the guy in China that I ordered it off cancelled the order and refunded my money. So the problem I have with this is I'm going to have to replace this rear tire, and I'm going to have to replace it before the end of summer. I mean, I can probably get another maybe 500 miles off that if I'm lucky, but there's no way. But there's no way I'm gonna get, like, you know, 5,500 miles like I got off the original rear tire, because that was a proper e-bike tire, you know, designed for this bike. And actually, a funny story, a friend of mine bought an e-bike. He bought a Cannondale actually, and he kept getting flat tires on it. It was an e-bike as well, and he took it into like another shop to find out why he kept getting punctures, and the guy goes, oh, it doesn't have e-bike tires on it, so there must be something happening. A lot of cop cars. It's the second one. So he was like, so they changed the tires and put some proper e-bike tires on it, and then he stopped getting flat tires. So essentially the problem with it is I have to try and find a proper e-bike tire. So I'm gonna have to look back on Amazon. If I can't find anything there, which I don't think I can, then I'm gonna have to go order off AliExpress or Temu or something. And then the problem, I've got to wait 2-3 weeks for it to get shipped from China. And the last order I had on AliExpress got lost. I ordered something worth £50, and it just didn't turn up. And I called up the company, the shipping company, and they just took like no responsibility for it at all. They said, well, that's up, you have to claim a refund back off the sender. Obviously the sender didn't want a refund because it got lost in the UK, so I lost basically £50. So this is the reason why I don't really like ordering off companies like AliExpress or Temu as much. I did eventually get my money back. I got it back in credit. I didn't get it back in my credit card, so I just lost it off the thing. Whereas if I order off eBay or Amazon, especially Amazon, if I call them up, you know, because Amazon works so well and it doesn't get delivered, I can just, you know, they will just automatically refund my money like they did last time when the shipper didn't send it from China. But that's the problem with these little bikes. If you buy, you know, a bike with like kind of smaller than 16-inch or 16-inch wheels, if you buy like the larger e-bikes like they sell in Halfords and that, you can probably easily get those, you know, get new tires. I've put slime in these as well. I put slime in both the back and the front. Don't know if you guys are familiar with slime, but slime is this green stuff, and you pump it into your tires, and then if you get like a kind of small hole, I think it says it can fix a hole up to 6 millimeters. So if you get a hole, if you get a nail or something and the nail pulls out, the slime is supposed to stop the puncture. I don't know if it actually will, because I don't think I've got any punches with it in, but hopefully it's like a little bit of an added, you know, reassurance if you're cycling to work and you just want to get to work, you're late for work and you get a punch out. It's happened to me when I changed this wheel here and bought the one from Halfords. But luckily I was about a mile from work, so I was just able to push my bike. But if you're 3-4 miles, you know, from work, or 3-4 miles from home, it's a nightmare trying to, you know, cycle on these tires. Even just to try and get you home really slowly, you have to push it basically. Anyway, that's my update on tires, and I hope you guys like learned something. I certainly have. I can get almost anything for this bike, like nothing's broken on this bike, like the electrics and everything, and I put aftermarket brakes on it here. But getting these tires in the UK, these small e-bike tires, is just a bit of a nightmare, because I just don't think anybody really stocks them, because there's just no real demand for e-bike tires that small. So that's the only real problem you have if you buy like a small bike like this. The bike itself is fine, but you want to prepare. Like I can see here that, you know, with this tire here, I'm only going to get another maybe 300-400 miles off this, so I need to be buying a real tire now. I need to be getting like a tire for this now, because it's going to take 3 or 4 weeks to ship from China. And then if I'm doing 100 miles a week on this, you know, it's going to be 300 miles done already, and then I'm still waiting for the tire to come. I really wanted to put solids on this. The tire I ordered off Amazon was actually a solid tire, and they're quite really difficult to put on, but once you get them put on, then you don't have to worry about punches at all. I'm not sure if I'm going to put a solid on this or not. I might try it. If I can find like a good solid tire, I might try and put it on. But I'm going to have a little bit look in the UK. There's one other shop I can try that's not too far from me, that kind of may have something that fits this bike. If that doesn't have it, then, you know, I have to go online. Anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you about tires and that, and the difference between just a normal bike tire and the normal e-bike tire as well. You know, there's I think the main difference from what I've read is the e-bike tires are a bit they make them a lot thicker. Well, maybe not a lot thicker, but they make them, you know, a couple of mils thicker. The tube, the walls of the tire, and maybe the actual thickness of the tire as well. They make them a bit thicker to handle, you know, the heavier speeds on roads. That one there, once I got it fixed up, has lasted me. I haven't had any punches once I fixed it up and got it running perfectly. But, you know, I'm gonna have to pull it apart again, which is obviously a hassle, because then I have to pull the rear hub off, you know, to take the old tire off, and I have to pull the electrics out as well, you know. So that, you know, just to change the tire is probably going to take me like an hour and a half. And if you're changing your tire every 500 miles, 5,000 miles, you know, it's a lot of hassle to keep pulling your bike apart constantly, changing the rear wheel. So that's why you want to get a tire that, you know, you can last like 5, 6, 7, 10,000 miles, and then you only have to pull your tire off, you know, if you get a puncture or something. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, and as usual, if you guys are members of the channel, you know, if you've been following me for the last 3 years with this bike, that's really great. And if you're not a member of the channel and you enjoyed this video and learned something useful, it would really help if you would like and subscribe. And I'm off to Spain next week, so I'm going to be doing some videos on some travel videos on the Costa Brava. I'm going there for 9 days, Costa Brava. So check those out as well. And I just posted, like I said, I just posted 2 other videos. I posted a video on like all the different cycle equipment that I use when I'm cycling through London and that, and I posted a video on 6,500 miles on my e-bike, riding it, and all the things that are broken. But I did cover the tires and that, but I just wanted to really go a bit more in depth about the different types of tires that, you know, you can get with these, and what you should really buy with them if you can. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, and I will catch you guys on the next video, which, you know, will probably be in a couple of years, because I wanted to make this video when my bike had done 5,000 miles, and I basically rode it all the way from when did I start riding? I rode it all the way from like March, like mid-March, and I rode it. Now I've just done like a video, and I've done like another, you know, 1,300 miles on it. So check those out, and thanks for watching. Hi everybody, so this is the last video I'm doing today. I just remembered I needed to make one more. I just did a video on the tires here about what to look out for when you're buying e-bike tires. So if you have an e-bike and you want to know a little bit of advice that I think has helped me, check that video out and see what type of tires I try and buy for my bike. Now, this last video here I'm going to do today is on how much money I saved cycling my bike. And I did one of these videos, I think last year. Yeah, I think it was last year. Must have been last year, and I saved about £3,000 cycling my bike. I've had this bike for 3 years now, and I cycle 12.5 miles each way to my work, so I'm doing 25 miles a day. It's 125 miles each week, you know. So I'm doing, what am I doing? It's 500 miles a month for work. And so I just wanted to cover how much money I've basically saved on this and any of the expenses. So if you're buying like an e-bike and you're thinking, well, you're looking at it and going, well, the e-bike's going to be £1,000 or £2,000, you know, am I actually going to save any money? You know, how often can I ride it? Like, what happens when it gets to be really cold? You know, am I going to ride my bike? Well, I'm going to tell you exactly what happens with me, and I'm going to tell you how much money I saved on my e-bike, and I'm going to go through all the costs of running my e-bike as well, including how much money I spend on electricity and everything. So stick with me, and then you will get a better idea, or very good idea, hopefully, of the running costs on this bike, and how much I've had to spend on it and how much money I've actually saved, because I have saved a lot of money. So I'm going to start off with like how much money that I've saved not spending money on the London Underground, and it costs me almost £10 a day now. I think it's like £9.80 to go from North London through Central London to South London where I work. So it's costing me £10 a day on the Underground. If I go through another station, if I walk to another station, it costs me even more because I'm going to an extra zone. But then if I walk one zone, then it saves me a little bit of money. But basically, it's costing me, if I take the London Underground, it's costing me £50 a week to take the London Underground, £10 a day. I can buy a travel card. I think that might, I'm not sure if that's actually going to save me any money. I haven't bought a travel card for at least 2 or 3 years. Ever since I got this bike, I haven't bought a travel card, but I'm not sure if that would save me any money, because they'll probably charge me for the weekend as well. But anyway, it's doesn't really make much sense to, you know, buy a travel card when you've got a bike like this. So I'm spending roughly, to get to my work, I would be spending roughly £50 a week on the London Underground to get to work. So that's roughly £200 a month, and I ride my bike here for about 7, sometimes a little bit more, 7.5 months, and I'm going to tell you why I don't ride the bike all year in a little bit. But basically I ride it for 7 months, and saving the £200 works out to £1,400 a year. Now my bike cost me, I had it for 3 years. The price of these bikes, I looked at them, they still make them actually, and the price of these bikes now I think they've gone up to £1,000 or something on the Fiido website. My bike cost me, when I bought it, was £800, and that was 3 years ago. So the price of these bikes have gone up by £200 in 3 years. I've had no problems with my bike at all. Check out my video. I've just posted a video on 6,500 miles on my bike here, and I go through all the things that all the problems that I've had with this bike, like the brakes and the battery. I discuss all of that and anything that's gone wrong with my bike. And by the way, I don't work for Fiido or anything. I just was looking for a bike. I didn't know anything about Fiido. I'd never even heard of them, but I just wanted a small bike that I could fit in my house, where, you know, I didn't want to leave it on the street to get stolen. So I needed like a really small folding bike with a long range, because I couldn't charge my bike at work, so it had to go all the way to my work and then back home, which was like, you know, like I said, it's 25 miles, so I needed something with like a long range. And I can actually get 2 days out of this. I never do. I always charge it every single day, just because, you know, if something happens, I don't want to be like pedaling it, because it's a bit of a nightmare to pedal this thing if you don't have the battery. And I've done it. I've actually pedaled it once from work without any battery, because I forgot my key. It's got a key around here, and I left it at work, and I took the key with me, and then I forgot to take, when I went to pick the bike up, I forgot to take the key, and so I had to pedal it just using the pedals with no electric assist. Anyway, going back to that, bike costs $800. I've saved $1,400 on total. I've saved about £4,200 riding my bike. I've roughly worked it out. That's like how much money that I've saved since I've had this bike, because I use it sometimes on the weekends as well. I'll do like, you know, I'll ride to different places, so instead of, you know, getting the bus or the underground somewhere, I will just jump on my bike, and that, you know, that can save me like £10 straight away like that. So bike costs $800, and in total, after 3 years, without spending money on transport, I've saved, you know, $4,000. So that in total is what is that, $3,400? So it saved me $3,400 if you minus off the price that I paid for the bike. Now, what about electricity? Electricity is really, really cheap. The guy I bought this bike off, he had an electric car, BMW, and I asked him, like, not a big one, I think it was just like an i3 or something, the smaller BMWs, like small hatchbacks. And I said to him, how much does it cost to charge your battery on your electric car? And he said, oh, it costs about £2 to charge the battery for an electric car. Now this has got a large battery here on it. It's a what was the size of this battery? Was it 23? Where's the thing? 23 milliamps or something. It's quite a large battery. Where is it? Check out if you want to look at it. It's 23 amp hours, 23.2 amp hours is the size of that, and I specifically bought this one because it had a large battery to get me to work. Now I've worked it out. That I charge my bike every day, even though the battery's not flat. When I get home, I charge it up. It takes about 4 to 6 hours, depending on how drained the battery is, and the battery will drain more if I'm wearing heavier cycling gear. So if it's winter and I'm wearing big cycling gear, which is like 4 or 5 kilos worth of like cycling gear, it will drain an extra bar from the battery. In summer, you know, I can get to work and back on just 2 batteries, but in winter it uses a little bit more. But anyway, to charge this battery completely every day like costs me roughly about 6 to 8p, so 6 to 8 pence per day to charge this battery. So I worked it out a while ago. I hope the figures are correct. So all year this is roughly costing me somewhere about, I would say, between 13 and 16 pounds a year to ride this bike all year. But I only ride this bike for about 7.5 months, maybe 8 months a year, like maximum. So I'm actually not riding it for the whole year, but I charge it every single day, and depending on whether it's summer or winter, you know, in summer it's probably about 6p a day. In winter it might be about 8p a day if I'm wearing the extra cycle gear. And that works out to, I think, that works out to 16 pounds a year if I use the bike every single day. I worked it out, but obviously I'm not using the bike every single day, so it's actually probably a bit less than that. It's probably only about 10 pounds, maybe 10 to 12 pounds that it's costing me. It's really, really cheap. I mean, I haven't noticed my electricity bill go up at all since I've been, you know, since I've had this bike. Is, you know, there's no significant increase in my electricity bill because I own an electric bike, because it's so cheap. Okay, so I'm going to go through some of the maintenance stuff now. And the only real maintenance stuff I do on this bike is tires and brakes. That's the only thing I've ever had to replace on this bike. It's just gone. You know, the electrics have been fine. It's never broken down on me. It's like a super bike, you know. But I put these, see these X-Tech here? So I put X-Tech zooms in, and it costs me, the last time I bought them, I bought 8 pairs of brakes for I think £11. And I can get about 500 to 600 to 700 miles off these brakes before I have to change them. So I've spent on brakes for this bike, I've spent about £25 in total in 3 years. I bought all my stuff off Amazon, and I bought one lot for £10 before, and I bought this one for £10, and I bought another one for about, I think, £5-6 when I originally got it, because when I originally got it I wasn't sure how long the brakes were going to last, so I just bought 2 pads, and I thought they came in a set of 2, and I thought, oh, these will last me like, you know, 3,000 miles, and they didn't. They lasted me like 500 miles, and then I bought them. So that's how much I spent on brakes in 3 years, about £25 I would say. Tires here, I just bought a new tire for this. I just did a video on tires if you want to check out that. I'm gonna have to replace this tire again. It costs £10. That tire on the front is the original tire. It's still gonna do at least another 5,000 miles. Obviously there's not much weight on it, and I don't use it for braking as much, whereas the rear tire, I use it for braking, and it carries more weight, you know, because I'm sitting up here and there's more weight on it. and you're using it to accelerate the bike, so it wears out. So I'm going to have to spend another 20 pounds on that. So I spent 10 pounds on that, that's 35 pounds, and I'm going to have to spend another 20 pounds on a new tire. What did I say? 25, 35, so it's 55. So it's 55 pounds that I've spent on maintenance with that. And then I spent probably another, my gloves there were 8 pounds. I just bought a new set and I lost the last set, so I spent 16 pounds on cycle gloves. Helmet was 30 pounds for that. Light I've had for ages, I think that was about 30, and the cycling mirror I think was somewhere between 20 and 30, and the bag was about, I think, 15. So in total I have probably spent about 100 pounds on the cycle gear and the brakes and the tires on this. So if you have a look at that, I'm looking at about 900 pounds that I've spent on this bike in 3 years. But like I said, you know, it cost me 10 pounds a day just to take the London Underground. And so when you're looking at 50 pounds a week, it's really only 2 weeks going to work, and you've already saved yourself, you know. Yeah, so in total, this bike has cost me around about 900 pounds for 3 years. So you're looking at, you know, if you divide that over, you know, 900 divided by 3 years, it's costing me about 300 pounds a year to run this bike. But like I said, you know, if I take the London Underground, it's costing me 200 pounds a month, right? Now, the last thing I want to speak about is, you're probably wondering why I don't ride this bike all year. And in the winter, I don't like riding bikes much in the winter because it's wet and it's cold. You know, I live in the UK, conditions are not good, and I prefer like riding in safety. You can see like all the safety equipment that I've got, like the gloves and the helmet and the mirror and all that. So I like to cycle as safely as I can. So I only ride my bike from to about October, and then November, December, January, February I will kind of like, you know, put the bike up depending on what the weather is like. I might ride, you know, a little bit into November, but once it starts getting really cold, you know, I'll usually put it up for December, January, February, and then I will start riding beginning or mid-March. So for 3 months of the year when it's really, really cold, I don't ride my bike, and then I have to pay for like the underground and stuff. But for those 7 months that I do ride it, obviously it saves me like a lot of money, and the bike has paid for itself, you know, over again, like, you know, 200 pounds a month. If I ride it for 4 months, that's the 800 pounds that I spent on it gone. And I think I should probably get, like, there's nothing really wrong. The battery is fine with this bike, you know. I've had no real mechanical problems with it. Even the chain hasn't broken. So I'm thinking, you know, I should get at least another 3 years off this bike, probably, maybe even more. You know, maybe I can get like 6, 7, 8 years off it if I, you know, I'm still working in the same job and I'm still riding this bike. So, you know, if I ride it for, say, 8 years, what's that? That's going to be almost 8,400. So if I ride it for 8 years, it's going to save me about £8,000 in 8 years, which is quite good, you know, considering it's basically almost free when you consider the price of, you know, charging it up being so little, you know, 5-6 pence to ride 25 miles in one day is like a really good price, you know. Anyway, that's a quick update on how I saved basically £4,200 riding my bike, and hope that helps anybody. If you guys are into electric bikes or, you know, electric travel, I think it's definitely the cheapest way, you know, to travel now, especially with the price of petrol and diesel. You know, the price of petrol and diesel is just through the roof now. And so, you know, any means of traveling which is cheaper is good. And also the London Underground keep putting their prices up every single year. You know, they add 20-30p to every journey. So, you know, when you factor in their increases and then the prices of increases if you have to ride, you know, pay for diesel or petrol in your car, it's like a lot of money, you know. So something like this can really help you out. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for watching my video. And I've just done 3 other videos as well, so check them out if you want to know things about tires, if you want to know things about you know, if I've had any problems with this bike or anything. And you know, like I said in the previous videos, like, you know, I'm not like a Fiido rep or anything. They didn't give me this bike for free. I had to pay the full price for this bike off the guy I bought it off. And I'm just giving my honest opinion on this bike. You know, I don't own any other e-bike, so I can't tell you if they're good or bad, but for this little bike it's been really good. And the great thing about this bike is, you know, like I said, I wanted a bike that's I can fold up and put in my house so it doesn't get stolen, because even with a good lock, if you put a bike like this out on the street, it's not going to be there in the morning. Somebody will come along and steal this bike, you know. So I needed a bike that I could store in the hallway of my house, just fold it up and then just unfold it really quickly. To be honest, I don't even unfold it, I just leave it on its stand and I just plug it up, plug it in and charge it every day, and then, you know, ride it out of my house. Anyway, thanks for watching my videos, and check the other ones out. And I'm off to Spain. I can't remember if I said that, but I'm off to Spain next week. I'm going to do some more travel videos. I might try and rent a bike out there and do a little bit of cycling up and down the coast. I'm off to the coast of Costa Brava. So check those out, and thanks for watching another one of my videos. And as usual, if you guys are subscribers, that's fantastic. If you're not a subscriber and found this video interesting or helpful, I do all sorts of little videos, mainly on this bike, because, well, this is the only bike I own, you know, but on the different maintenance things and that. But I'm always posting videos on this bike, you know, every year. So it would really help if you would subscribe and post a like. And thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you in the next video.